Let's start with that.
If you haven't noticed.
And just seemed like a good opportunity to share in real-time experience of something that I think a lot of people having a Kundalini experience might have had also. And we were listening to an audio program that I personally really love. It's Deb Dana's, it's a Sounds True program called Befriending Your Nervous System. And she's talking about polyvagal theory and about bringing, awareness and attention to your neuroception, which is the part of your nervous system that perceives danger, essentially. And it's a really beautiful program, and I've listened to it a lot, and it's helped me have an understanding of what's happening to my body, often very much beyond my control. But Gordon was having an interesting experience of feeling, would you say, frustrated?
Yeah, I was just feeling frustrated, having had a parasympathetic nervous system state, dorsal, vagal, stuck for pretty much my whole life. And having tried so many different modalities and techniques, and I just found myself getting frustrated, like, oh my God, what else do we have to do? What else can I do? Do I have to keep on working on it through IFS and all? At what point does it end? She's saying, now you're beginning this process. I'm like, screw that. I want to end it. And so all these voices of disappointment, fear of disappointment, frustration,
oversimplification.
And she was oversimplifying it, and like I didn't feel validated. Like, for those of you that have been traumatized your whole life, this might be really, really hard. That's kind of what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, well,
and good for you for not ending it by now.
Exactly. Like, the main goal is just to keep yourself alive. That's my conclusion. Is like, there are so many programs and so many things that can help. So many frameworks for understanding that can help us kind of make sense of what's happening, but we don't really know behind the scenes, like, what this force that creates worlds is doing to our bodies. Like, it's benevolent, I know that, but it feels like motherfucking hell. And we can do the best we can to make sense of it with things that, for people not going through a Kundalini process, really works for, like processes and different techniques that really, really work for people who are in this process. And we're like these outliers. And so it can be really frustrating to listen to something as beautiful as the work of, like Stephen Porges and Deb Dana. I love them. They feel like my family. And yet it's like, bring to your attention a moment when you felt dorsal vagal energy. It's like, how about right now?
we both blurted out right now, all the time.
So it's frustrating, yes. And so this is just to validate anyone who feels frustrated by the sort of nature of feeling like you don't really belong anywhere in the spectrum of healing.
Right. And would it, on the positive side, what it reminds me of is, okay, what in me is resistant to another modality, and I think it's this fix-it mentality, and that something's broken in us and needs to be repaired, and that, I think, is very unhelpful.
Thinking that you're broken,
and then I'm broken, or I'm damaged goods, and
best thing, the only thing we can do is to soften around any sort of bracing. For me, I notice there's like just some sort of like rigidity, and almost feels like my brainstem is like a bracing, because I'm so used to, even though most of my symptoms have sort of subsided, I'm so used to my body being like out of my own control. And so there's just sort of this bracing of like, what might happen, what might happen, what might happen, what might happen. And that only makes things more intense. So I can try to soften around it to the best of my ability, but I don't always succeed. Some thoughts for anyone feeling frustrated by the lack of understanding about this process